we good to go? I was just checking if there's anyone else. They all seem to trickle out. No, fair enough. I'm happy to start. Thank you. Okay, I'll make a start. So hello and welcome. Can everyone hear me okay? Yes, perfect, perfect. It's actually really nice to see a lecture theatre with everyone at the front, because when we do the student lectures, no one sits in those first few rows. So it's nice I can see some of you clearly. I'm Dr. Stacey McKnight. I'm a lecturer on the psychology degree programme, and I'm also the admissions tutor for the course as well. So welcome to Manchester, whether that's familiar to you, you're from around here, or whether you've travelled far, welcome. I know it's a warm day, so I can see a few of you fanning already, but hopefully you've had a chance to explore outside, explore the campus and so on. So I'm here today to tell you about the psychology degree programme. Now, these are I'm doing 2 talks today, but we've also got the psychology stand itself. And just to highlight that that isn't in this building, it's in the Jean McFarlane building. So if you do want to go there at any point today to have a chat, there's student ambassadors there if you want to chat to any students who are currently on the course. There's Kaylee, who's our amazing admissions administrator. She can answer questions about anything from, entry requirements, if you've got any specific questions. Now, that building is 92 on your map. So it's going back to the main road. And then just before you get to the tin of beans looking building, you turn left and it's behind there. It's kind of the entrance to there. It's the Jean McFarlane building. So we're there all day, so feel free to come along. Obviously, you're free to grab me at the end if you've got any questions, but obviously, as there's a lot of people, I'll be going back to the stand if you've got any specific questions after I've chatted to you today. So I'll make a start then to tell you all about psychology here at Manchester. So first things first, I won't go on too long because I know you're probably doing some tours today and having a look around, but welcome to Manchester and our uni. Now, you might know it, as I said, or you might not know Manchester at all, and I really believe it's a truly incredible city. It's so vibrant, there's so much to do, and hopefully you'll get to see a little bit of that today. Obviously, welcome to our campus. As you'll see, we're located in the heart of the city, so we're not a campus, away from the city completely. And of course, there's 2 universities on Oxford Road, so there's a real student vibe around this area of Manchester and across Manchester as well. So our campus has amazing facilities, whether that's for your learning, for your health, your well-being. Culturally, you might have a look at the Manchester Museum, which has been recently refurbished. It's had a huge renovation. Only reopened actually a month or 2 ago, I think it was. We've got things like the Contact Theatre, the Whitworth Art Gallery, the John Rylands Library. And for sport, we've got loads of things. We've got squash courts, workout studios, 2 50-metre swimming pools, numerous gyms. Social things, we've got the Students' Union. Hopefully you'll get to look. You'll see the Manchester Academy. And that aspect of university life, although I won't be talking to you much about the social side, but it's so important to us and to your life as a student. So the Students' Union has got hundreds of societies. I think it's got something like 400 societies you can join. So there's always something of interest to you. I think they've even got a Quidditch society for anyone who's interested in that. I think I would join that if I was an undergraduate here. But I'm not going to tell you all about Manchester. I'm here to tell you specifically about the psychology course here at Manchester. So we are the oldest psychology course. So a few years ago, we celebrated our 100th anniversary of teaching psychology. So hopefully we've got pretty good at it in that time. And we are a Russell Group university. Now, some of you might know what that means, and some of you might think, what is that and why does it matter? And it basically means we're part of a consortium of leading research universities in Britain. So that means that we really focus on cutting-edge research, innovation, teaching excellence, and you're taught by highly qualified academics. So on the psychology course, your lecturers will all have a PhD in their special area. So that might be to do with mental health, neuroscience, memory, language, dementia, all sorts of areas across psychology. If you are thinking about a career in psychology, it's really important that you go to a BPS accredited psychology degree. Again, some of you might be familiar with that and some of you might not, but the psychology degree here at Manchester is BPS accredited, and that means the British Psychological Society have accredited the degree, and they've actually recently re-accredited. They come every few years, and they came in June, actually. It was very recent and had some amazing things to say about our course. So just to keep that in mind, if you are thinking about a career in psychology, whether you come to us at Manchester or not, to check that the degree programme you do is BPS accredited if you want to continue along that field. So academically, we're great, as I'll be telling you all about today, but we're also really keen to support students throughout the degree in terms of your social life and supporting with support staff. So I'll be talking to you a little bit about that as well. I could go on saying how great, but the numbers and the rankings do support. So we've been rated the 6th best university in the UK, again, for several years now by the QS rankings. And as I've said, we've got excellent British Psychological Society endorsement. So we really are a strong and competitive psychology degree programme. But to tell you then exactly what to expect if you do come to do psychology at Manchester. So in your first year, if you did come to join us, you do 10 psychology units in your first year. And these are introductory units to all different topics in psychology, which I'll touch on shortly. And we really want you in your first year to get a good basic foundation in all of the areas of psychology because it is such a broad discipline. Now, you might be new to the study of psychology, you might not have done it before, or you might have done it at A-level and or in other studies. So it might be familiar to you. But the idea is, in first year, we want to give everyone that basic broad spectrum training across all of the different elements of psychology. Of the 10 units, there is an option to swap one out for a language unit if that is something that interests you, and some students take that on just to broaden their learning across the programme as well. But most are compulsory because we really want you to get that feel for all the different areas of psychology. In year 2, there's a little bit more autonomy. So you have 12 units and you can actually swap a couple of those out. Now, in year 2, you can still choose to swap one for a language, but we also have around 30 units offered centrally by the university called USIL units. Now, I know I'm giving you a lot of information and you wouldn't be expected to remember this, but I want to just give you a flavour of what you can expect. And of course, if students come to join us, you get all the information as you go through the degree. But if students did want to swap out a unit in their second year, you can do units such as Introduction to British Sign Language, Leadership and Action, Innovation for a Sustainable Society, Forensic Medicine. There's even one called Are We Alone? The Search for Extraterrestrial Life. So it's a broad spectrum that you can choose from. And some students really like to stick to all the core psychology modules and do a core psychology degree. And then there's other students who like to stick to most psychology modules and then say, actually, I'd like to drop that and broaden my education, broaden my learning, and get something either out of interest or that will really broaden your CV. So we're really proud that you can start to tailor the degree as you go through it. There is an optional year between years 2 and 3 to do a study abroad year or a work placement year. Now, this is optional, and it's something we offer that would turn the degree into a 4-year degree. So it would be a BSc Psychology with placement year or BSc Psychology with study abroad. Now, a question we often get asked is, do you have to decide before you apply for the course? And the answer is no. You can come along to the course, and it's the start of 2nd year that students are given all the information about the options to do a study abroad or work placement year after year 2. And take that year and then come back and do the 3rd year as a kind of 4th year on the degree programme. But I'll be coming back to those options shortly. And then the 3rd or 4th year, if you did take that optional year, is your final year on the degree programme. And in this final year, we really start to focus your learning. So you only do 4 units across this year, but you do more in-depth study. And you completely choose these units. So by this stage, it's really what areas of psychology really suit you and you really want to get into, what area that you want to get into. So you can really, really tailor your degree. 2 of these units can actually be swapped out. So you could do 2 psychology units and really study them in depth, and then 2 additional units. Those I've mentioned before, that I've already said, you can swap out in years 1 and 2. But then actually you now have a choice in year 3 of units from the Manchester Business School as well. So things like marketing, HR, people management and change are just a few examples. Now again, that's an option some students take if they think, actually, I'm wanting to go in that direction and that really broadens my CV and is beneficial. In this final year then, is when students really, are tailoring, doing the areas that really suit them and really focusing in depth. And they do a final year research project in this year. And I'll be telling you more about that shortly as well. So in terms of the course then, I've said psychology is a really broad discipline, and it really, really is. And it's becoming more and more, utilised in every walk of life. So we've organised the degree into 4 themes. So we have the evolution and development theme, which is all about how humans develop from infancy through to adolescence into later life. So it's all about that trajectory of development and so on. And the course units in year 1 for that are Intro to Developmental Psychology and Lifespan and Aging. Another theme we have is mind and brain, and this is all about how we interpret, attend to, and process information. So course units such as Intro to Cognition, Brain and Behaviour, Sensation and Perception. Now this is the best theme by far because I teach on it. I'm only joking, but I absolutely love social psychology. So it's psychology and society, and it's all about how people interact with each other and how that shapes interpersonal behaviour. So it's a great excuse to watch reality TV if you want an excuse. But units such as Intro to Social Psychology and Group Dynamics, so really about those interactions with society and the individual and individuals on each other and so on. And the final theme is adaptability and well-being, and it's all about our physical and our mental well-being. So foundations of mental health and distress and foundations of health psychology. So mental health and distress obviously looks at what it says on the tin, and health psychology will look at what encourages us to engage in certain health behaviours. So topics, such as physical activity, smoking, the psychology behind those things. So that's kind of an overview of the general themes that we've organised the degree into. And as you'll see, it's a broad discipline. There's lots to study in psychology. So throughout the 3 years, the modules from the four themes develop and progress and build. The content builds across the years. So in year one, you get the introductory units across the four themes, like I've just said. But you also have some cross-cutting units as well. And these are units that don't necessarily relate to one specific area of psychology, but they're skills that you need to work as a psychologist, to be a psychologist, a practicing psychologist. So we have research methods and stats, which we teach you all about how to conduct research. So how to do a literature review, how to design a study, how to collect data, how to do data analysis, and how to kind of write up that research. And we also have in year one something called professional development. And this is a unit to support your study at university level. Because of course, coming in, it's a shift from previous study, it's a shift to get used to university level. So it's all about study skills, so essay writing, referencing styles at university level, lab reports and exactly how to do them. And then actually we do in semester 2, after the Christmas break, we start to talk about careers as well in year one at that stage. In year 2 then, the modules do build on this year 1 content. And as I said, you can swap out a couple. So if in year 1 you think, I love psychology, but that particular area isn't for me, then that is absolutely fine. You know, that is such a broad discipline, and you can bring in something that does interest you. And then these cross-cutting units develop as well. So the research methods and stats becomes more in-depth statistics and data analysis. So this really is quite in-depth stats and stuff. So some students sometimes don't realise that psychology does involve some statistics and data analysis, but it does. And in year 2, there's a real focus in one of the modules. And then we also have a career management or career placement unit. And this is a specific unit for you to focus on your career development. And it's something we've really embedded in the programme, rather than you having to find time elsewhere, which we also encourage you to do, but it's embedded and it's credit-bearing, so it's a unit specific for you to go and get some career placement experience or do some work on your career development. I'll be coming back to this as it's something that we're really proud of having in the degree programme. So as I said, in year 3, you choose the 4 modules, and then you do this final year research project supervised by academic staff. So this is something that students, even before they come to uni, start to worry about and say, oh, the final year dissertation. But actually, when students get to it, they absolutely, you know, on the whole, absolutely love the process, because they're working closely with a member of staff in an area of psychology that interests them to design, conduct and write up an original piece of research. And they're supported closely by that member of staff to do so. They're not just left to go off and do it. Now, we have a range of projects. Students are currently picking for their 3rd year and might do a little bit of research over summer, and then they come back in September and spend the whole year doing their final year research project in their 3rd year. Now, the BPS, the British Psychological Society, who do accredit our degree, as I said, were in recently, and they really, really praised the scope of our student work, really praised the quality of the research projects, and they can really, really range. So we've had some students doing projects on juror decision-making, to sleep quality and psychosis, to perceptions of feminism and gender roles, and it just really varies. So students will pick an area of psychology that interests them and work on that project throughout that year. We actually have every year, some students' work is so good that it's published in academic journals. So it's, you know, we're very proud of the students' work by this point. So you might wonder then how you will learn if you come to uni. So how will it differ? How will it differ from what you're used to right now? And of course, as I said, we've got student ambassadors over at the stand in June McFarlane if you did want to go and have a chat to them exactly how the course is. But just to give you an overview, that we do have lecture content. And that's these big group, not as big as this actually, but these big group lectures where you get the main framework for a module. So say it's social psychology, for example, you have a lecture each week for that semester to give you the ideas, the information, and the key information on that topic. But then additionally, we have smaller group sessions. And that's things like tutorials, seminars. So there's much smaller groups of students, around 20, 30 students in a group where we actually have a chance to work on that content and discuss it. You know, set activities, give students more of a chance to ask questions, and we can really tailor the support and interact more in these sessions. So you'll have probably one of those in relation to the topic each week as well. We also have something called research or lab classes. So we have lab classes linked to our units. So again, this might go over your head, and it takes students a few weeks to get the heads, when they do start, get the heads around all the different styles of classes. But once they, you know, a couple of weeks in, and it all makes sense. So we have these lab classes where we work on a piece of research with students. That's from year 1, and that's all about training you in this research process, collecting data and so on, to prepare you for that final year project. So by the time you get to year 3, you're used to that process. And we start off, you know, doing it like a really introductory piece of research, and we build up throughout the years. We also have stats classes, statistics classes. So you might have a lecture on statistics, but then there's a chance for you to have this interactive statistics support class where we have lots of staff helping students to actually work through the materials and understand it, rather than it just being in a lecture format. We also have, of course, independent study factored into your week, because university, you know, involves independent study, going off writing up coursework, you know, doing the readings, working on some group work, for example. And then there's also time for you to see an academic advisor, which I'll come back to, so you know what that is. So the key thing I'm trying to point out is there's variety. People imagine it just being a lecture, but it's not. We have lectures for each module, then we have smaller group sessions and practicals and so on. So assessment then on the degree programme. So again, I would say variety. So we assess you in ways that I'm sure you're quite familiar with, such as, you know, exams and essays. I'm sure you're relatively familiar with that, even though obviously things have been disrupted over the last few years. I'm sure you're generally familiar with exams and essays. But we also do things like research lab reports. So these research classes I'm talking to you about will work with you week by week to write up a research lab report. So it's similar to what you'd see in a journal article, a psychology journal article, kind of with an introduction, method, and so on, like results, discussion section. We also have research posters, similar to what a psychologist would present at a research conference if they were presenting their work as a poster. So we teach you how to do that, and teach you, assess you by doing things like oral presentations, whether that's in groups or individually, to present a piece of work. So a variety yet again, and there's blog posts, there's other little different bits of assessment that we utilise to try and keep variety, and we don't want to just focus just on essays and exams. So you might be noticing the 0% next to first year, because in terms of your degree classification and what your grade will be at the end of the 3 years, year 1 doesn't count towards your degree. Now, sometimes people think, oh, right, well, you don't really have to try then in year 1. But actually, you have to pass to progress. And also, students do take it seriously, because you really build on what you learn in year 1 for year 2. The modules build on that. So introduction to social psychology turns to social psychology. So if you don't engage at all in year 1, then you're kind of a little bit behind. So we do this because we want students to have the chance in year 1 to get used to university life, to get used to the style of assessment, to really have a go at these research reports without feeling like if it doesn't quite go as well as they'd hoped, it's going to impact their whole degree classification. So we give them that time to get used to it, and then year 2 counts at 1/3 of the degree classification, and the final year, when you've really tailored the degree and you're really familiar with how, you know, we work as psychology researchers and so on, is 2/3 of the degree classification. So I mentioned academic advisors. And it's something I also think we do quite well, but it's to support our students on the course. So we know that it's a big course, and we don't want students coming to university and feeling quite lost and anonymous. So what we do is we assign every single student an academic member of staff, so their academic advisor. So whoever they're assigned to, they can meet as many times as they want throughout the year. So they get to know them in Welcome Week and say, you know, I'm here for any questions. And then they meet them at least twice a semester, so at least 4 times a year, at least 2 times in semester 1 and at least twice in semester 2. Now, there's some students who just meet that, and they meet you at the start of semester 1, the end of semester 1, start of semester 2, at the end of semester 2, and that's that. And they're like, I'm fine, stop mithering me for meetings. But then there's other students who you get to know more well, and they want to meet, and you get to, you know, a real understanding of their developments throughout the degree program, their career aspirations, and so on. And they come to you when they're unsure, and even if you're not sure as an academic member of staff, you can signpost them in the right direction. But it's just that the student knows they've got someone to go to if they're feeling overwhelmed at the beginning, or later on they're unsure what modules to choose, or anything at all. They can come to that member of staff and have a chat. And it's something we're quite proud of, being able to offer and really enforcing across the programme. Now, the academic advisor is someone you can go to for pastoral support, so you know, someone to talk to or to direct to relevant support services. As I said, academic progress, so we can talk about the grades. Did you do as well as you'd have liked? Did you not? Is there anything you're going to change? If anything you want to change to improve, the course options, the module choices, but also for career planning and future plans. And often their academic advisor is who students go to for, you know, references and so on from the course, because you've got to know that student quite well. So we take it seriously because it's a big course, and we want to make sure that there's a dedicated member of staff for every student. So something I said I would come back to then is the career modules, or the work placement options. So there are 2 options on our degree programme. So there's the option of doing a short work placement in year 2. So as I said, there is a unit, a career unit. And if students want to, they can go out and do a 30-hour short work placement. And we have a dedicated careers team helping students to find these placements for that particular year. And most students do choose that option, but if they didn't want to, they can do an alternative career module. So they're still thinking about their career development, but they don't actually go out on the 30-hour placement. Another option is to go and do a full year. They can do both. They can do the short work placement in year 2, then still go and do the full year after year 2 and before year 3, or they could just do one or the other. Now, again, we have this dedicated careers team to help students to go and find, and students go into a range of different work placements. So students might go and do some external research. So we've had students go to be a researcher at the Great Ormond Institute of Child Health. Some students will go and work in the University of Manchester in one of our research departments. So we've had students working at the Lucid Child Study Centre, which is in the Coupland building behind the Manchester Museum, or go and working with the health psychology team on some research that's ongoing. And then other students will go and work in something completely different and go and work in corporate jobs and get experience. So we've had students go and work in HR at Dow Egberts, or a range of marketing companies. So it's really getting students to think about their career plans before the end of the degree. And again, that is something that the BPS really praised, the fact that we've got a module that has credits assigned to it in the second year to encourage students to think about it. And it might be that students go and love something, it might be that they rule an option out, but students do go on a variety of placements and find it really helpful. The other option I mentioned and said I would come back to is the year studying abroad. So this comes after year 2 and before year 3. Now, actually, there is a Go Abroad talk at 1:30 p.m. if you are interested in Theatre B in the Roscoe building at 1:30. So if anyone is really interested in that, then I'd suggest go along to the talk. But it's something we offer on the degree and from the uni. And it's an amazing opportunity to go and study psychology abroad for the year. And we partner with, I think it's around 28 to 30 institutions now. So it is growing with how many institutions we partner with. And they're always English-speaking universities that we partner with. So some universities are more, what's the word? Competitive is the word I'm looking for. Competitive than others. But there's, so students, we do encourage them to get in early if they want to do it. But we've got lots of partners and it's a complete option. And students who go say they get great life experience, really deepen their knowledge of psychology by going studying it somewhere else and studying some different modules, and find it really, really beneficial and obviously enjoy the life experience of it as well. So there's universities in the US, in Canada, New Zealand, Australia, obviously English speaking, but we also have Madrid in Spain that's English speaking, a university in Amsterdam, Hong Kong, Copenhagen, I think, come on board quite recently. And so there's just a range of different institutions that you can take up this option. Okie doke. So I think I've tried to emphasize that we're quite a career-orientated degree program, because I know that psychology now is becoming more and more popular, as you can see with the numbers interested in psychology programs. But often people can think, well, what does psychology directly link to? Which I'll be talking to you about career options in a second. But I just really want to highlight that we do have, like, the university has won awards for their university level career service. We've got a career service that students can access all through their degree. They can go and get support with interview prep, practice, have their CVs reviewed, go and have meetings to discuss, and they can actually access this after graduation as well for a couple of years. And we put on graduate summer fairs, recruitment fairs, postgraduate study fairs, internship programs. There's absolutely loads of things we do to try and boost and give students options and to know what their potential is. But at the program level, for psychology specifically, we also offer these placement units, but we also put things like alumni panels on where we bring ex-students in to talk about their different career paths. We do Meet the Experts speed networking events. We offer summer internships across the program as well to really boost students' CVs if they want to take those things up. So we really try and embed this throughout the time at university. So in terms of career pathways then, there really is a huge range of options that psychology links to. Around 15 to 20% of students continue training after an undergraduate degree and go on to do a doctorate and go on to work as a professional psychologist, such as an educational psychologist, a clinical psychologist, a health psychologist, and so on. And if you are thinking about that path, then making sure you've got a BPS accredited undergraduate degree is the first start. I just really want to emphasize that, to make sure it's BPS accredited so you can continue to train as a psychologist. But a lot of our students go on to apply psychology in a range of other contexts and go on to a range of excellent careers. So, journalism, marketing, advertising, charity work, teaching, police, counselling, human resources, public relations, management, all have links to psychology. And employers really, really do value a psychology degree in relation to a lot of different career contexts. And it really is becoming one of the most in-demand degrees. And if you think psychology not only trains students in terms of literacy, so you read a lot of papers, write a lot, essays, lab reports, but you also do a lot of numeracy, collecting, analysing and interpreting data as well. And not a lot of degrees actually do both. And they're really valuable skills that can be developed and applied to a wide range of careers. So, psychology students are highly employable, and we really sought after, the University of Manchester in particular, and our degree programme students, degrees from here are highly valued. So in terms of entry requirements for the course then, so the typical A-level offer is AAA, and we do require one or more of the science, such as psychology, biology, human biology, chemistry, physics, statistics, mathematics, further maths, or applied science. We do have the entry requirement page up here, and obviously there's things like contextual admissions and so on, but if you've got any specific questions, come along to the stand, and we've got our admissions administrator to chat to you there. We've also, if you can't make it to the stand for any reason, the email here is one that you can get in touch with. Before we go, I just want to tell you super quickly about the Cog Neuro and Psychology degree programme. Now, this is a completely separate degree programme. It's single honours psychology, and this is dual honours Cog Neuro and Psychology. Now, this degree programme has around 50% of the psychology modules that I've touched on, and it's got 50% of Cog Neuro style modules. So a lot of modules from biosciences. They still do all the lab research work and data handling skills. They still do the final year research project, still have the placement and study a year abroad options, and they're still accredited by the British Psychological Society. So if you're interested in the Cog Neuro, it's more of the biology side of psychology, and the neuroscience side is more of a focus than this. So you won't do some of the psychology options, and instead you'll do some more of the neuroscience biology modules instead. If that is something that interests you, then next to the psychology stand, we've got the Cog Neuro student ambassadors, and you can have a chat to any of them. Just to quickly mention the entry requirements for that are AAB to AAA, so it's a differential depending on the subjects you do. So actually it's a bit stricter in terms of what sciences you need to have done. You need at least one core science, which is biology, chemistry, physics, or maths, and then at least one of the other sciences. But I won't get into that too much. Again, the website's here, or you can get in touch. Okay, so there's a chance for you to come and chat to our student ambassadors today at the stand. If you don't get the chance, you can always just log onto our website, and the UniBuddy page pops up where there's students on there ready to chat to you who are current students on the course. So feel free to do that if you don't get a chance to come along today. I'll be here for any questions at the front, but we've only got a minute or so because we do have to move out for the next talk. But otherwise, I'll see you back at the stand if you've got any specific questions. Thanks, everyone.